Your team did billable work this week that won't be invoiced. Not because it wasn't done. It'll either be because it wasn't logged, or if it was logged, it'll get written off before anyone realizes. These two problems, time capture and WIP management, are directly connected. And together, they're a major source of recoverable margin in your business. Let me put a number on this. Research on revenue leakage puts the figure at around 10% of top line performance for firms with weak controls. That means on a $10 million business, that's $1 million of work performed but will never be billed. But here's the number that matters more. That million doesn't just disappear from your revenue line. It falls straight through to your margin because the cost of delivering that work is already in your P&L. Your people were already paid. The overhead ran. You just didn't get paid for the work done. Every dollar you recover here goes directly to the bottom line as pure profit. That's why this isn't a billing admin issue, it's a margin problem. A lot of business owners treat this as a culture issue. People just need to log their time properly. But that's the wrong diagnosis. Manual time entry fails because it asks people to remember and fill in their time when they're tired and busy. Industry-wide, billable utilization in professional services has dropped to around 69%. Incomplete capture is one of the main reasons it's that low. Every hour that goes unlogged isn't a small rounding error. It's 100% margin lost on that hour because the cost is sunk and the revenue never shows up. The research calls this the administrative tax. The effort of logging time reduces the amount of time that gets logged. It's not attitude, it's friction, and friction compounds. And here's where most conversations about time entry stop. Fix the logging and you fix the problem. You might be tempted to think that if you address the timesheet logging issue, then you fix the problem. But I'm afraid you haven't. Even when time is logged correctly, it doesn't automatically become an invoice. It becomes work in progress or WIP. Work your team is completed, recorded in the system, but hasn't been billed yet. WIP can sit there for weeks, months in some businesses. Invoicing in the WIP is delayed because a client might query the hours. Milestones aren't met, so the invoice can't go out. A batch of time is waiting for an approval that just hasn't happened yet. Or the project manager hasn't reviewed the WIP report this month, maybe because they're on vacation or they were sick. These aren't edge cases. They're normal reasons unbilled work doesn't convert to cash. In my experience of reviewing WIP aging reports when we take on a new client, it's common to find WIP sitting at 60 to 90 days, even 90 days and more. That's just how these businesses tend to run when nobody's actively managing it. And if WIP aging goes long enough, some of it will get written off altogether. It's just normal. This is why time capture and WIP management are the same problem. Fixing one without the other is like trying to patch a leaking pipe at one end and ignoring the other end. So you might be asking, well, how do we address this? And the answer lies in artificial intelligence, which can actually address both issues. Time capture doesn't ask your team to reconstruct their hours. It observes what's actually happened and suggests time entries based on real activity. So calendar events become suggested time entries. Document activity shows up as work against the project. Email threads get matched to client codes. Your team just reviews the suggestions, approves them, and adjusts them. And that's it. The friction drops significantly. The entries are more complete, and the hours that would otherwise have been logged are captured instead. And just as importantly, the employee gets the time back they would have spent completing their timesheet. So it's a win-win. Research shows that firms moving from manual to AI-suggested time entries are reporting 5 to 10% more billable hours. I mean, it's not guaranteed because the exact number depends on how broken your starting point is, but the direction is consistent. And the math works in your favor here because those hours are already worked. The cost is in your P&L, so capturing them isn't just new revenue, it's margin recovery on work you already did. On the WIP side, AI helps differently. It's not about observing activity, it's about servicing what's stuck. Which entries are approved and ready to invoice? Which have been sitting in a queue for 2 weeks? Which projects have WIP aging past 30 days? That visibility changes how quickly you act. You see the bottlenecks and you prioritize the approvals. You close the billing cycle faster. But before you look at the technology, you need to look at these three numbers. First, what percentage of your team's logged hours are making it onto invoices? And if you don't know that number, that's definitely your starting point. Secondly, what's your average WIP aging? Work sitting unbilled for more than 30 days is a process gap and not a system gap. And third, how long is your billing cycle from work completed to the invoice sent? If it's more than 4 weeks, you're giving up cash flow that you've already earned. Once you have those numbers, the fix usually starts with processes and not software. Who owns the WIP review? How often does it happen? What triggers billing? What triggers a billing batch to go out? AI improves both ends of this. Better capture on the way in and faster bill visibility into what's stuck on the way out. But it works better when the processes are already defined, because without that, you're just surfacing a problem faster without a clear way to act on it. This is the delivery to cash loop. Time capture feeds WIP, WIP feeds billing, billing feeds collection. A weakness anywhere on that chain shows up as a margin problem or a cash flow problem, oftentimes both. If you want a starting point, pull these three numbers out this week: logged hours to invoiced hours, WIP aging, billing cycle time. They'll show you where the gap is before you spend anything fixing it. And if that's useful, please do subscribe.